Hey, Joe.
Hey, Zeph.
Hey, Joe. Hey,
Hey.
tell me, riddle me this. Riddle me this, Batman. I'm starting over.
Hey, Zeph.
Hey, Joe.
What are we talking about today?
That's a great question. I think that what we should do, in the spirit of the time of year that it is, we should just figure it out as we go.
Okay, sounds good.
Because it's November, and everybody knows what that means.
It's turkey season.
Yes, and I'm going to be a little turkey and have us gobble up some So we're going to lay down some conversation for people. Okay, the thing that I'm starting. The thing that's terrible about this is I was just talking to somebody the other day that was like, yeah, when it's you and Joe, you guys just laugh over each other the whole time, It's then we start out this episode this way.
Yep.
So, no. Well, here's what I think. I want you to tell me a few things you've watched, and I'll tell you a few things I've watched, and then we'll just see where the night takes us. Where the Night Goes by Josh Ritter is a fantastic song.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Let me pull up my letterbox that I have used once.
Let me pull out my letterbox that I use all the time. Okay? I'm going to talk about recent things I've seen that are not horror movies, because we talked about horror movies for Spookaween last week.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to talk about some few things that I watched that are not that.
Okay.
That I would like to mention. I don't think we've talked about this yet, but I finally watched my, drumroll, I'm burping, my 1,000th movie ever.
And what was it, Zeph?
Because I keep track of all the movies, and I was at $9.99.
Yeah.
I said, let's watch 1,000.
And what was it, Zeph?
And so I figured that the 1,000th movie should be really special or something that is meaningful,
Yeah, go on.
So I picked something like that, and I
Okay.
narrowed it down to a few different choices.
All right. And what was the choice?
Well, the choice was between a few different movies that were all historical, not historical like historical movies. I mean historic like movies that are part of film history. So I considered Citizen Kane.
Birth of a Nation. Yep.
Yeah, I've already seen that. Some other things that I really just considered. You're on the right track though, because I chose
Black Klansman.
Gone with the Wind.
Hey!
And it was great. It was great. It really was great. I had never seen Gone with the Wind, and I decided to choose it because to this day, it stands as the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
Ever in world history. Don't let some Redditor out there tell you that it was Endgame or Avatar. Those people are smooth brains.
They're a bunch of scoobs.
They're Scooby Goobers. They don't understand. That is not true. They are. They're Scooby Goobers, my guy. That's what they are.
True, yeah.
Those are not the highest grossing. They're not even that high. They're in the top 20 maybe. But when you adjust for inflation, which you have to do, because I don't know if you knew this, but little known fact about the dollar, it inflates. Much like a balloon or an air mattress or a water mattress, slower, it inflates.
Yeah.
And so inflation is something that needs to be adjusted for to know actually how popular a movie was. Another thing you adjust for is ticket price, because ticket price fluctuates even with inflation. And then, of course, if you consider world population, that makes a huge difference. But we're not even factoring that in. We're just doing ticket price and inflation. And if you factor those things in, highest grossing movie of all time, by far, not even close, is Gone with the Wind still.
Yeah.
And it was almost 100 years ago, which is crazy. So there's that. And then number 2 is Star Wars. So do with that what you will. Gone with the Wind was great. I'll say a few thoughts about it. One, it was about the Civil War, obviously, and it was extremely well done. Like, watching Gone with the Wind is a 3.5 hour experience, and every 15 minutes, probably, there was a shot that made me like audibly gasp watching this movie by myself. There was a shot where I would go, how? First of all, how'd they pull that off in 1939? Yeah. Secondly, that has to be one of the most beautiful movie shots I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever. So it was technically a masterpiece. Acting was great. It was well written. Everything about it was very cool. Except all the characters suck really bad, which is the point. There's very few people you can root for. Scarlet is the worst character ever created.
Fair.
But She's supposed to be. And so, anyway, it was a great little, it explored greed and culture and America and a lot of things in a very interesting way. And I would give it a, drum roll please. Wait, remember, I'm not qualified. Our scale is 1 to 100. 1 being the best movie we've ever seen, 100 being the worst.
Yeah.
So on our scale, let me do some math. 21. Gone with the Wind, 21.
Pretty good score.
Good.
Holds up.
Holds up
Stands
very
the
well.
test of time, if you will.
Yes, unlike another movie I watched that's only going to take me a couple seconds to talk about, and that is The Infernal Cauldron. Came out in 1903.
Okay.
So,
Little old.
120 years ago. And I'd probably give it like a 55.
Okay.
It's only about 3 minutes long or so. And it's just a little goblin demon throwing people in a pot of boiling water to eat their souls.
Okay.
So, your turn.
Raw tone, bruv. I'm really trying to think of the movies I've seen that aren't Nightmare on Elm Street 1 through 6 right now.
Yeah, we talked about those already.
Yeah, we talked about those, and I'm trying to think of other movies that I've seen because I'm going to be real. I think I might have movied out a little bit by trying to cram all of those into like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Here's what I will tell you. Recently, just been watching a lot of TV.
Okay.
Right? Me and Megan watched The Challenge. Shout out if you watch The Challenge. CT and Devin are my favorites. I don't know where you guys stand. There's not like a lot to say on that. It's a competition reality show. It's like Survivor and Fear Factor and another physical competition show.
Yeah.
All rolled into one. And it's pretty interesting. I don't know. It's been going forever. They're on their 39th season right now.
So,
Plus the 12 spin-off seasons.
Speaking of Fear Factor, how long do you think it's going to be before Joe Rogan has a presidential run? Because I can see that happening.
2 terms from now. I think he's going to get
Okay.
older.
So the
and I think he's going to
2030s?
get... As he starts to calm down MMA-wise, and I think it'll be Libertarian Party for sure. I think he's going to take the Gary Johnson route and be like, yeah, I smoke weed. He's like, I do MDMA. Let's go. Like,
No, he's going to be like more like John McAfee than Gary Johnson. But
yeah. But I think so. And I think it's dumb enough. It's dumb enough, and he already has enough following as is that he actually has a decent shot.
We've already had one reality TV host as a president.
Yeah.
Why not a second?
Why not another
Let's do
one?
it. And then we need Simon Cowell.
Except this one does jiu-jitsu. So
wait,
it's cool.
Simon Cowell's British. He can never be president. We need Randy Jackson as president.
Randy Jackson.
Paul Abdul. CeeLo Green. No. CeeLo Green would be a good president.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And Randy Jackson would be, head of education?
Yeah.
Paula Abdul would be...
Secretary of Defense. So
I've been watching a lot of The Challenge. That's it. It's just entertaining.
Okay,
I like
cool.
it. Other movies that I've seen recently.
Yes.
I'll go over 3 right now.
Okay.
Because I don't think I talked about them in the last episode. If I did, I don't remember. And that's your fault, listener. So I started watching this one movie. And I know that you and I did the exact same thing in this movie. Because I saw this movie and I saw somebody had already started it. It was on my list. And it was only watched for 5 minutes. And I said, there's only one person that I think would do that. And then I watched it for 5 minutes and I said, no, I'm going to dip out actually.
Wait, what is it?
It was Solaris.
Oh, I did that. I did do that.
I know.
I got 5 minutes and I still want to watch it.
I did too.
I've heard lots of great things. It's great. Yeah, but
I was not aware that it was all in Russian.
yeah.
And I was like, I just don't have
That is a bit of a gatekeeper, a little bit.
I was like, I don't have the capacity right now to just read. I don't feel like watching a foreign film right now.
Yeah. You got to be in the mood.
Yeah.
Also, I will say I got 5 minutes in and it wasn't that I was like, wow, this is bad, I quit.
Yeah.
It was that. It was
Yeah.
I don't have the brain power. I'm going to go watch Chucky. Which actually is not what I did. I don't know what I did. But I can talk about that because last week I said I was in the middle of Child's Play.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing about it is that the guy just knows Latin and black magic incantations. They actually explain it. He later goes and meets the guy he learned the spell from, and the guy tells him how to undo it. And he's like, you have to sacrifice the kid, the child, the main character kid, and you have to go into his body. Then you can grow up again as a human. And then for some reason he did that. I don't know why a 10-year-old is much better than a doll. But I guess he wanted to be human again. Chucky was fine.
Yeah. What would you give Chucky?
Let me think about it. So I would probably give Child's Play. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. Oh my gosh, my math is so bad. I have to pull up. I have a conversion chart for my letterbox score to not qualified ranking because our ranking is so asinine that it's hard to do in my head.
Translate, yeah.
Chucky gets a 35.
Okay.
Child's
not
Play
bad.
gets
Not bad.
35. It was fun. It was
It
was
entertaining.
hilarious.
It's campy. It's ridiculous.
Campy 80s horror movie. That's what I wanted. Yeah, that's why I watched it.
Absurd premise.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Some pretty funny hard cuts and bad editing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other 2 movies I watched that I don't think we went over. These are movies that I watched for the very first time in my life. And I had not read the books, but it was the first 2 Harry Potter movies.
Oh, we can talk about those.
Yeah.
How were they?
They're pretty good.
They are.
It is very apparent that I missed the age of when those would have been mega impactful and like magical and nostalgic. I have none of that going into these movies.
Sure.
I'm just like, and I'm also like weirdly critical. Like if I'm watching a movie that I'm like supposed to be passive in, I kind of want to critique it. But if it's a movie that I'm seeing for the first time or I'm really looking forward to watching, I'll watch it really passively and just not care. But if it's the inverse, I'm like, whatever. I'm just like weirdly critiquing these movies, even though everybody's seen them. They're kind of just like, oh,
so
yeah.
what kind of things did you find like to be critical about?
It wasn't like really necessarily me being critical. It was just very, because I've seen clips from the older movies or like the newer movies in the series, and just like taking note of all the different stylistic changes, all the different directing styles. Because I know Chris Columbus leaves the boat.
You've seen the 2 Chris Columbus movies. Yeah. He's gone after that.
And I talked to you on the phone about this. The characters are growing up. It goes from a kids movie to like young adult, edgy Lord of the Rings. Like that's the kind of like
an edgy, much worse Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's just like there's like magic, and it's supposed to have like, I don't know, edgy like mid 2000s Twilight feel. Yeah. I don't know, but it's supposed to encapsulate this whole world that you've been building up to. So it goes from the first episode of like, we are gonna fight trolls in the bathroom to I'm gonna murder you in front of you.
You just committed war crimes.
I'm gonna commit.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I can't wait to get to that point because it's such an abrupt.
That's the fourth one is when it turns. So like the 4th one opens with a literal terrorist attack at a sporting event.
We'll cut this out. Minute 13.
Wait, hold on. Do you want me to cut something out? I can just pause right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can pause it.
Okay, be right back.
I just want to keep going.
Oh, I'm just going to keep going from here.
Okay,
cool. Chris Columbus directed the first 2. So this is the thing. I love Harry Potter. Yeah. And actually, the first Harry Potter movie, which is the best one, that has to be said. And if you fight me on that, then that's okay. But the first one's the best one. Just as a film, as a story, everything about it. And I think that's one of the few movies I'd consider a perfect film. I really do to this day, and I am nostalgic about it because I grew up with it, but I'm not like a big Harry Potter nerd.
Yeah.
As a kid, I loved those books and I read them a lot, and then the bigger culturally it became, like, you know, people talking about their houses and this and that. I went into like, I'm gonna be the party pooper because I don't like the current thing or whatever, you know. But I love Harry Potter, but I'm not a big Potter guy, like nerdy dude, and I still love that first movie, and I love all the movies are well made. They're well directed, but the last 4 are when David Yates comes in, the director David Yates, and I'm not a huge fan of his style. It's like like you can watch those last 4 films, and they're still okay. They're not visually terrible, but they're definitely visually like early 2000s Daniel Powder music video.
Very grungy.
They're grungy, and then everything's clearly like digital, green screen, very few practical effects, and very sparse. Like the first few movies, there's so much stuff. There's like props everywhere. It's cluttered. It feels lived in. It's a world that feels like magical and fun but genuinely lived in. Like a Lord of the Rings movie. There's dishes everywhere. There's like stuff. It feels crowded in a fun, colorful way.
Yeah.
And then the last few movies are sparse in terms of like props and set design, and everything's just like wide open spaces and kind of empty.
Yeah.
And very colorless. And part of that's intentional because the tone is getting darker. But then part of it is just a stylistic choice that I don't like. I think the movies kind of get worse as they go. Okay. And the books get better as they go. The last few books are amazing in terms of like compared to the first few, the writing quality, everything it's the books get better as they go. The movies I think get a little worse, but by the end they're still great. But the first one is the only one I consider like a perfect movie. My favorites are the first and the third one. Okay. And I do think Chris Columbus was part of what made those first two so good. His like whimsical, childlike magic. Yeah. And then he goes and they get darker, and that's fine. They had to. All that to say, what'd you think of Harry Potter?
Harry Potter 1.
Yep.
31.
Okay.
Harry Potter 2. 31.
For real? That's funny because I'd probably put the first Harry Potter in like a 9. Yeah. And I'd probably put the second one in like 30s or 40s. Because to me, the story is so significantly stupider in the second one and makes no sense. Like Voldemort's plot was to put his spoiler alert, I guess. You don't know Horcruxes yet. I feel doesn't matter. I'm not going to spoil anything. Voldemort's plan it's clear. Looking back at the second book / movie, it's clear that J.K. Rowling had not come up with the plot until like the fourth book. Yeah. So it's kind of dumb. But go ahead. Oh, and the fact that Malfoy's dad was just going to murder Harry Potter. Yes, in the hallway.
I thought about that. Yeah. I was like, I get it. We technically don't know what he was saying, what that is yet.
It was clearly. But
I was like, I've heard it enough. It's been 20 years. Yeah. I'm like, I get it. He was about to murder a child on the sidewalk. Yeah. Outside of
Dumbledore's office.
Outside of the president's office. Like, bold move, dude. Yeah. Like,
it's pretty crazy.
The Nazi. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah. So what's so vehemently against mixed blooded people.
Yeah, and then he's like the blondest hair imaginable, angular features, and his son is literally named like Devil, or Lizard, whatever. Draco. What does Draco translate to? Because Draconian, whatever. Go ahead.
This is something I found out about. It might have been through Corridor Crew. Okay. I remember seeing it somewhere, maybe reading it somewhere, probably on Reddit, about whoever played Lucius.
Yes, the guy from The Patriot. Yeah.
Whenever he kicks Dobby down the stairs, completely improv, and they have to like add Dobby in.
Yeah, in post. Spoiler alert: Dobby's not real.
Dobby's not real.
He's not an actor.
But he was just like, I just feel like that's what he would do. So he would just punt this doll down the stairs, and they're like, "What's going on, man? Like, why are you being that aggressive?" And he's like, "Well, it's probably what he would do. I don't know." So they just had to be like, "He's not doing a different take. We're gonna have to make him. He's getting to kick Dobby, and we don't have a choice in it." So it wasn't something that was written into the script.
To be fair, they did write that he tried to murder a high schooler in the middle schooler, really, in the hallway. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he would kick a slave. Yeah. So
it's also interesting to see, like you're looking over the thumbnails for all the movies, and you're like, wow, they really do grow up so fast.
They do.
It's like movie 1, they're like little babies. The second one, you can tell they're a little bit older. By the third one, they're like, are they in high school? I don't know how they grew up so much in the span of one movie.
No idea, dude.
But I don't know. I'm excited for Gary Oldman to come in. I really love him.
Yeah, he's like the best part. His character is the best part of the books too. But yeah, in terms of Chris Columbus movies, it's the top of the food chain for me. Harry Potter 1 and Home Alone are pretty close.
Yeah. But overall, I liked them. I'll keep watching them. Yeah.
Hold on. Home Alone was either written by Chris Columbus and directed by Breakfast Club guy. What's his name? John
David Fincher. Yeah.
No. What's the dude's name? The guy.
Yeah.
Always working.
I know you're talking about. Did all the Brat Pack movies?
Yeah. John something.
Yeah.
Home Alone was either directed by him and written by Chris Columbus or vice versa. I think it was written by Chris Columbus and directed by him. And then Chris Columbus also. There's a chain of things here that connect to Richard Donner somehow.
John Hughes.
John Hughes is also connected to the Goonies in some way to Richard Donner through the Goonies. And I think Chris Columbus might have also written the Goonies.
Okay.
Let's look it up. Chris Columbus Goonies. This is going to be fascinating listening for. So, the Goonies. The Goonies.
The Goobies.
Yeah, we're going to look up about the Goobies. And, screenplay by Chris Columbus. So.
Okay.
But the story was by Steven Spielberg. Did you know that? So, the Goonies, Steven Spielberg said, I have this idea. It's about a bunch of kids riding around on bikes, getting into trouble in a small New England town, and they're gonna have to avoid getting in trouble, and they're gonna be doing fun things together and building gadgets, but then they're gonna discover some weird secret, but they're gonna bond together through it. And then everybody else said, yeah, that's every one of your movies. And then he was like, no, but you make it this time. And so they got Chris Columbus to write it and Superman to direct it, and it became the weirdest movie ever.
Yeah.
And I love it. The Goonies is one of my favorite movies, but it's still by far one of the weirdest movies ever.
Also I'm deciding. I'd call it a perfect movie. It's not my favorite movie.
Oh, no, but it's a perfect movie.
But it's there's nothing wrong with it.
I would not change a thing.
There's not a thing I would make.
You know what makes me happy inside? It's one of those movies that there's certain things about it that just give you the fuzzies.
Yeah.
And the scene that I always think of is the one where they've discovered the tunnels underneath the town.
Yeah. And
they're on their way to the gold or whatever, and they're following the map, and they're avoiding booby traps, and they get to underneath the well. Mm-hmm. And the girls are at the top of the well.
Yeah.
And they're talking to each other down the well, and they're like, we're going forward. We're going to keep going. No matter what you guys say. That scene, for some reason, is the best part. That sums up what makes that movie good. And the way the characters interact and the way it's written.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Great movie.
But it's so weird. And I realized that when I showed it to my wife for the first time. And she didn't grow up with it. And so, once I was kept being you're going to love this movie. You're going to love it. And we kept getting further and further in. And then it's the things when you see a movie over and over growing up, you're just accepting.
You're oblivious to the flaws. When you
not,
have a
not
new
even
set
the flaws,
of eyes,
but just how weird things are. You just are that's what happens in this movie, and your brain's going through. But then once you're watching it with a third party, and you're actually evaluating the plot things that are happening on screen, you're like, this is way weirder.
Yeah, you come in it with a much more critical eye because you're having new eyes on it. So you are it's almost like you're getting to watch it for the first time again too, because you're seeing it with a completely new perspective of I've seen this a million times. It's will they like what's happening at this very moment, and you tearing apart that exact moment.
Yeah. It's funny because when I described it to her, I was like, oh, it's like coming of age movie, a bunch of kids riding around on bikes and discovering old pirate treasure, and it's fun. Oh, that's how I described it. And then I watch it, and I'm like, okay, so I forgot there's a disabled guy chained to the floor.
and he's owned by a crime family?
Yeah, there's a mafia family
who robbed the bank in the first scene.
Yeah, and that's just kind of connected. It's not really connected.
That was just to show you that they're mean.
And then the elaborate gadgets and lingering way too long on the statue's genitals when they break the statue. And then I completely forgot that a big chunk of this movie revolves around booby traps that look like Disney World, the roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then they go down a stone water slide into a cave where an intact pirate ship from 400 years ago is floating. Just things like that I'm I never, ever would have thought about this until I watched it with somebody who'd never seen it. And I didn't love it any less. I still wouldn't change any of those things.
Yeah.
Makes it what incredible. It is.
Do we have any other movies that we've seen recently?
I wanted to talk about one, and I'm trying to
Do
decide.
it.
Actually, no, I'm going to save it. We're going to do a whole episode about this movie.
Okay.
Because I think you've seen it too. I think.
Okay.
No, you told me you hadn't. We're going to talk about it anyway because you'll have your own examples.
All right.
But that will be next week on... Joe, you're supposed to say the name of the show.
Oh.
Wait, do you have anything else you want to talk about on this episode first?
Yeah. Have you ever seen Kung Pao?
Yes.
We'll save that for the next episode.
All right.